I'm Carl Phillips, and I'm excited and honored to have been asked by the Beinecke Library to talk about how I'm spending my quarantine time. Among the things I've been doing, oddly enough, not sitting around writing a lot of poems, which is not something I actually do very often anyway, maybe once a month. Um, but I got the impulse to do a cooking show on Instagram, a live cooking show. And that's been really popular. For 2 weeks, I did it every single day for about 45 minutes. And then I realized I couldn't keep up that pace. So now it's every Wednesday at, I guess, 11 o'clock Central Time for half an hour. And I do a different playlist every week and make a couple recipes. And it's been pretty popular. The theme of the show is to figure out what you can make that is elegant and tasty with what you've got, given that a lot of us are kind of short on food, or, say we'd like to have, you know, a beautiful pasta with scallops, but all we've got is a package of hot dogs. What do you do with that? So that's the theme, and it doesn't really have people call it Cooking with Carl, but it doesn't really have a title. Anyway, that's been a lot of fun. Another thing is I have a new book of poems that came out in March. So I gave exactly one reading from it at the University of Houston, and then everything shut down. And so all of the events were canceled. And a lot of poets and writers in general, have been upset by that. But I find that it's been an interesting way of making me think again about what the whole point ever was from the start in writing a poem. First of all, the main point for me has always been to sort of hammer out something, to sort of wrestle with an idea and try to pin it down on paper for myself. It's a very private kind of act. But then the next point has been the hope that someone, the poem might resonate with somebody else privately. Those moments that we never get to see, where someone sees the book on a shelf or sees a poem, on social media or something, and get something from it. And what I've noticed is during this quarantine, people are reading a lot more. So I actually feel as if, rather than sort of suffering from not being able to go on tour, which is not really a phrase I'm keen on anyway, because we're not rock stars. I like finding out on social media that people are reading, and including reading some of my poems, and I'm grateful for that. So on to the next thing. And the next thing for me has been putting together a new manuscript. Almost always, by the time I have a book published, I've got a new manuscript close to finished. And that's been the case with this situation too. So it's called, I think it's going to be called Sing of Darkness. And I haven't turned it in yet because I keep adding things to it, including what was an essay. I did an essay on trees, which seems to have been surprisingly popular on social media. It appeared first in Emergence magazine. And then I thought that I would sort of rewrite it. It's in 14 sections already. And I thought, what if I rewrote this essay as a kind of meditative poem sequence? And so that's what I've done. And so now that's part of the new manuscript too, something pretty different from me. So what I am going to do is, I thought, why not read a poem from the book that came out in the spring, Pale Colors in a Tall Field. And so I'm going to end by reading the title poem. And thanks for listening. Pale Colors in a Tall Field. Remind me to show you where the horses finally got freed for good. Not for the freedom of it or anything like beauty, though their running was for sure a loveliness. I'm thinking more how there's a kind of violence to re-entering unexpectedly a space we never meant to leave, but got torn away from so long ago, it's more than half forgotten. Not that some things aren't maybe best forgotten, at a certain point at least. I've reached that point in my own life where there's so much I'd rather not remember, that to be asked to do so can seem a cruelty almost. Bad enough some days that there's memory at all. Though that's not exactly it. It's more what gets remembered, how we don't get to choose. For example, if love used to mean rescue, now it's more gladiatorial, though in the end more clean. Who said that? Not the one whose face I've described somewhere as the sun at that moment when, as if half unwilling still to pull itself free from the night's shadow grove of losses, it first begins to appear. No, not that one. And not the one whose specialty was making a bad habit sound more excusable by calling it ritual. Since when do names excuse? Wish around for it long enough. You can always find some deeper form of sadness where earlier, so at least you thought, mere sorrow lay. I'd been arguing the difference between the soul being cast out and the soul departing. So I still believed in the soul, apparently. It was that long ago. Thanks very much for listening. And with those lines, with that line, it was that long ago, it can seem as if the world as we knew it was very long ago. But I suspect it'll be back. Maybe a little better than before when we knew it. I hope everyone stays healthy and safe. And I hope we can all see and hug one another again in person soon. Thanks. Bye.